Good communication is at the heart of good management. And some managers are able to put over complex ideas in a way that is quick, detailed, and completely incomprehensible.
The new PEX and APEX fares apply on all European routes, with the exception of Spain, Portugal and Greece, where the Saturday night requirement is superseded by the 14-day advance booking restriction, provided that the outward flight is paid in full before the end of March, or in the case of non-scheduled flights to Finland and Sweden, up until the end of April, in which case the fare is arrived at by deducting the PEX fare from the average of the high and mid-season rate. So it's really quite simple. Any problems?
Communicators who know what they need, say what they need, and get what they need. Those who don't say what they need, get what they deserve.
Right, that deals with that then, so let's move on to the projected sales reports I asked for last time. Thank you. Very much.
Mr. Lewis.
What the hell's this?
It's the report.
I meant a summary, not War and Peace.
Well, you never said how long you...
Barbara, really?
I was up till 1 putting that together.
I can well believe it. It's a wonder your typewriter didn't get a hernia. I'm sorry, Barbara, but time's a budget item with me these days. I can't wade through all this. Just summarize it. 2 pages is enough. Here, look, like Tony's. He knew what I wanted.
Lucky guess, really.
Sorry, Tony? Bernard, I don't seem to have yours here.
Yes, I'm afraid I haven't done it yet, Mr. Lewis.
Haven't done it? But I told you I wanted it in today.
No, you didn't. You said you wanted it as soon as possible, and so far I'm afraid it just hasn't been possible.
Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear.
I'll try and get round to it first thing in the morning.
Well, do, will you? This is putting my system right out of gear. Now, look, everyone, I'll come straight to the point. A lot of things simply aren't good enough. I couldn't believe last month's figures when they came in. Well, look at them. Just look at them. I think they speak for themselves, don't they? And one of you I'm particularly disappointed in at the moment. I don't want to name any names because I don't think it's right to embarrass her in front of the others. But in general, there's a lot of room for improvement all round. But except Tony, it's good work. So for God's sake, buck your ideas up.
Some people have the knack of putting what they want to say in a nutshell, which can be tough if you don't have a pair of nutcrackers.
Come in.
Is this a comedian?
Yeah, come in, come in. I was just putting the finishing touches to a small news briefing. Wonderful thing, email.
Yeah, very impressive.
Well, it means you don't have to break up your day with a lot of tiresome old meetings. I mean, people can just get the information straight off their screens.
But I don't have a PC.
So, what can I do for you?
Well, we haven't really heard anything, but there's been some pretty alarming stuff floating around the grapevine, and some of the team are quite worried. Look, it's these Korean guys wandering about...
Right, well, look, let me be completely open with you, Bill. That information in the wrong hands could be quite devastating. I mean, I think what you've got to bear in mind is that the Koreans are pretty hot on productivity. That, after all, is their strength. And our production figures over the last few weeks, well, I mean, you get my drift.
Oh. Oh, well, thanks for your, reassurance and support.
Oh, no, don't be ridiculous. That's what I'm here for. Send.
There are some people who will never use one word where an attenuated superfluity of a not undisconcertingly protracted proliferation of verbosity will do.
It's terrific, Phil. Terrific. I don't know how you do it.
That's what you wanted, then?
Absolutely.
Right. So I can go back and get...
Ah, you see.
Ah, you see what?
Well, it's just a teeny little thing.
I thought you said it was what you wanted.
Yes, it is exactly what I wanted. It's just the
Executive committee.
Executive committee.
What about them?
I don't think they'll understand all of this.
Like what?
Well, like, for instance, differential thermal emission values in excess of accepted variation standards.
Well?
Well, what does it mean?
Well, it's obvious, isn't it?
Well, yes, it's obvious to me. It's as clear as daylight, but to the executive committee...
The morons.
Well, let's just call them the executively challenged for now, shall we? How would you express it to them?
Well, it just means some radiators are much hotter than others.
Well, why didn't you just say that, Phil?
I've just said it.
Why didn't you just say it in the report, Phil?
You can't say that sort of thing in a report. Not in a proper report. I mean, that's how you explain it to kids.
Phil?
Yeah?
What would you say was the average mental age of the executive committee?
About 9.
Oh, come on, with the technical director.
Okay, 8.
So, how about writing it for their mental age?
This communicator's idea of a team briefing is to chew the fat with the troops before running it up the flagpole and hanging it out on the wind for grabs, if you get my drift.
So what do you think it's about?
No idea.
All right, bye-bye. Right, sorry about that. Now, as you're probably aware, there are a few changes going on around here. Bill and I have discussed this a little bit already.
Uh-huh.
The nub of it is this: diversify and attract smaller but more numerous contracts. Now, obviously, that's going to require a greater degree of flexibility on everyone's part.
What about downsizing?
Right-sizing, I mean, well, hang on a minute, I haven't finished yet. Now, fortunately, we do have a chief executive with a great sense of commitment to the workforce, and I think it would be appropriate if that loyalty from above was reflected by a degree of goodwill from below, if you get my drift. The production figures were down last week.
Shouldn't Helena be...
No, please, don't interrupt me.
But shouldn't Helena be here for this, as the other team leader?
Yes, she should, but she doesn't come on shift till much later, so perhaps you could mention this to her when you see her next. Okay, oh, hang on. Hello? Erica, yes. Well, I'm talking to them right now, actually. Yeah, they're just here. Yeah, okay. Well, you know, never too old to learn. Ho-ho. Yeah, no, I've explained all that. Yeah, right sizing, uh-huh. Okay, right. Bye-bye. So that's about it. Now, look, I've got quite a bit to be getting on with here, so could you perhaps go downstairs and tell everyone else?
Tell them what?
Well, what I've just told you, obviously.
But what was that? Exactly.
That there's really absolutely nothing to worry about.
So we can tell them there aren't going to be any job losses?
Yes, yes, you can. In fact, you should. You must tell them that, and as often as is possible. I mean, it's not strictly true, of course, but if they start banging on about job losses, they'll all be running around like a lot of headless chickens. And, of course, we'll be left with the lame ducks because all the live wires will get out and leave us with the dead wood. So your jobs are safe anyway.
Thanks.
Here's a communicator who likes to explain everything fully, right down to the very last detail. This can be frustrating when what you need to know turns out to be the very last detail.
Now, Betty, this promotion you've applied for. As you know, the South West Regional Health Authority was set up under the 1968 Health Act, which rationalises the 1954 Hospital Placement Act, which in turn superseded the 1923 Medical Services Order. The region covers an area stretching from Hampshire all the way down to Cornwall. Our own district includes part, though not all, of Dorset, most of Hampshire and eastern Somerset as far as the River Stour, with a small enclave across the border in Wiltshire. Could we have the first slide, please?
We already know that this communicator has some good news and some bad news. It might help if he was clear which was which.
And the other thing is that it's important for you to feel that I'm being completely open with you.
Yes.
I mean, it would be rash, not to say unprofessional of me, to promise that there would be no job losses at all.
Oh, yes, very.
And obviously I'm trusting that you'll be careful who you say that to.
Oh, thank you, yes.
But what I can say, with a reasonable degree of confidence, is that it's very unlikely... It's very unlikely, probably, that somebody in your position would find themselves out of a job in the foreseeable future, as we currently foresee it, based on our current foresight.
Oh, I see. Yes.
And I mean, obviously, I've got to qualify a statement like that.
Oh, of course, yes.
By saying that a lot depends on how we perform in this period of uncertainty, and how we each of us individually respond to the challenges that will be facing us. Well, most of us, anyway.
Yes. Right. Well, thank you.
Well, I'm glad I was able to say that to you, individually.
Yeah, yes. So am I.
Because it's individuals, isn't it, that make up groups. And when I look at a group of people, Peter, I count them in ones.
Right, yeah. And I'm a one.
You certainly are. Well, you know I have an open door policy here, so please don't hesitate to knock at any time.
Right. What, you mean when it's closed?
Exactly, yes.
Some people mean what they say. The trouble is they don't always say what they mean.
Now, Barbara, I know you haven't been in the job as long as the other two, but really you've got to do better than this, I'm afraid. I think you know what I'm talking about, don't you? I mean, it's not as if you're totally new to the business.
No. Yes, of course, Mr. Lewis.
People just aren't happy with the type of food you're serving, Barbara.
But... Oh, I see. Oh, right, Mr. Lewis.
These people want something satisfying. So you will try and do something about it, won't you?
Yes, of course. I understand, Mr. Lewis.
People are expected to do what they've been told. Mind you, it's a bit much to expect them to do what they haven't been told.
This is the 5th floor, right? Right. Accounts department. Right. Right, I'm moving you today.
Wrong. A week today. The production department moves today.
No, they don't. That's a week today.
In that case, how do you account for the fact that they are all packed up, sitting there, waiting to go?
Well, I can't help that. My orders are to move you now.
What's the trouble now?
No, I've just been told to move.
Come, give us time, please. This gentleman insists on moving us today when we are not ready to move and production are.
Well, why aren't you ready?
Because we're not supposed to go until next week.
Who told you that?
You did.
I didn't.
You did.
I did not.
You did.
I know precisely what I told you.
Well, apparently you don't.
Oh, yes, I do.
No,
yes, I do.
You
All
do.
due respect, make up your mind. I haven't got all day.
Anyway, he can't move us. Look what he's brought. Tea chests.
What's wrong with tea chests?
You can't put all this expensive equipment into tea chests. We need specialists. Someone who knows how to move computers, not wardrobes.
You mean I'm going to move all that gear?
Of course.
But I've only brought the small van.
Why?
Because nobody told me. I told you.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You didn't.
Yes, I did.